The Lightning Fast Fantasy Football Podcast, sponsored by the Lockdown Defense Sports Network, is our weekly show dedicated to elite advice in standard leagues, PPR, and dynasty leagues. We are not guaranteeing you will win anything by our advice, but if you do, we want our cut. Enjoy the show. Are you tired of losing at fantasy football? Well, have a seat. You come to the right place. You're now tuned into the show where champions are made. Where speed meets strategy, elite advice, rapid fire analysis, and winning lineups are provided. It all happens faster than Tyreek Hill's 40 time. So strap in. Let's dominate your draft, crush your matchups, and take a ride all the way to that fantasy goal. Right here on the Lightning Fast Fantasy Football Podcast. Let's go. To all my heavy hitters and lockdown defenders, welcome to the Lightning Fast Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Defense, alongside the real AG Alex Givens. It is playoff time, ladies and gentlemen. Are you ready? In the words of Triple H and DX, are you ready? We are getting ready. It's time to do it. It's put up and shut up time. It is win or go home. It is time to get busy, man. The real AG Alex Givens, good sir. How you doing out there? Give us the tally, man. Out of all the leagues you're in, man, how many playoffs did you make?
Hey, I knew you'd be asking. Yes. I'm doing pretty good, man. Playoff time finally here. As you alluded to, I was in 9 leagues this year, made it in 7. So
that's not a bad percentage
we'll
at
take
all.
that. One ugly blemish on my face maybe is I know we'll get into it here shortly, but one of our sponsored shows.
Right.
I had to fall on the sword. We can't have both hosts making it to the playoffs. It doesn't look good for optics. So someone had to be down.
Oh, are you trying to say that if we both make it, there's a hint or smidgen and maybe a little collusion if we make it?
Hey, not me, but others, others may.
Okay, fair enough. I'm with it. Okay. Well, I mean, if I had to be the sacrificial lamb to make it, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, hey, I figured he wouldn't be too upset with my plan, but
no, not at all. I'm a team player.
That one I needed to squeak a win out last week to make it in. Unfortunately, had my man Drake May on a bye. Really bought into the Tyrod Taylor hype, and those dreams were shot early. All right, let me just put it that way.
Real fast. Ball real fast. I understand. Dang. Oh well, man. Can't win them all. That's all. 7 out of 9 is not bad at all. So I'm not shooting that higher percentage. I'm 1-3. 1-3. One league, the Lecture Shop Podcast League I started winning too late. I ran off like 4 straight, but I was already too far behind. I missed it by I think 2 wins and 18 points.
Damn.
Yeah. One loss I had by 1 point that I should have won, and one loss I had by I think it was 17 points. So if I had got those points in those games, I'd have been in the playoffs. But that league is crazy. I know we won't cover it a lot, but we had some unprecedented stuff going with the seeding. The guys that finished 7 and 8, 8 and 9, they tied for record. They tied for points for. They split head to head. It came down to what is it? Margin of victory. It came down to margin of victory. It
Damn.
went all the way to margin of victory to determine who the AC was. It's crazy. It was crazy. But yeah, so I didn't make that league. I dynasty league. I started off. I got hot too late as well, so I ran off a couple of spoiler L's that I handed out last couple of weeks. But it's too far behind the sticks. So.
But lack conviction on the clock now, baby.
It's true. Number one pick in the rookie draft next year. I'm not mad at that.
You got your Bo Callahan, all right?
Right, indeed. So we're gonna get right. We're gonna make things better next season. But yeah, so we're gonna get into it, man. The playoffs are here. And like I said, we're gonna talk about the playoffs. We're gonna talk about everything that's going on in the fantasy world to get you right for week 1 of the playoffs. Hope you made it. If you have made it and you watch this live, please drop your questions in the chat. Let us know what you're looking like for the playoffs round 1 if you're not on the bye, like some people are. And we'll get you your questions answered as the show goes on. If you're watching this on replay or you have some questions after the show, as always, you can drop us a line. We have our hotline here, the Lightning Fast Fantasy line. If you want to drop us a quick voicemail that gets your questions answered from a fantasy perspective, give us a shout. The number is 240-249-2220. Once again, it's 240-249-2220. If you have any fantasy football questions that you got to get answered right away, you're riding in the car, you can't get to your computer, you can't chat GBT, you can't do anything that you need to get some answers, and you want to talk to the boys, please hit us up, and we'll get those questions answered to you in a short order. And please let us know how to get back to you. Some voicemails come through and ask questions. I'm like, well, I don't know how to get back to you, so what am I supposed to do here? So, yeah, please let us know how to get back to you, but drop us a line if you need some questions answered quick and ugly. So, yeah, so we'll get to that. As always, we'd like to start with our recap show, for our fantasy leagues. We sponsor 2 leagues here. We got the redraft league and we got the fantasy football dynasty league. So we give a quick recap of that, how things shook out the regular season, and now we're in the playoffs, so we'll show the playoff brackets as well. So getting into that, for starters, let's get this going up here. So we had some matchups that ended interesting in the last week of the season. I lost, but I was always already locked into the 3 seed, so it didn't matter too much. Although I almost got there. Had Amarion Hampton and Cameron Dicker gave me a little more juice. I might have got that victory against Josh, but he got a victory against me, 128-115. RG got AG up out of here, 102-84.
Got me good.
Drake May was on the bye, like you said, so he didn't have that juice at quarterback. So that was unfortunate. Keith, I think by way of this win, actually got into the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken. 88-68 against 5. Coach D. Bev, ironically, lost to Taco, a.k.a. Kurt, 121-90. Kurt been playing spoiler, too. I think he won 2 in a row. That's wild.
The 121 burger, dude. That's
I know. Crazy. Outside of Cody and Josh, that was the 3rd highest score of the week. So, yeah. Not bad. DZ still doing this winning ways, 106-100 against Coach Mike Dub, and Cody, 141-114 against Cool Kev. And I think that knocked Cool Kev out of playoffs too, because it was a 3-man race here. 5 Keith and Cool Kev were all vying for that last spot. And I think Keith got it on points, and I think he got it on 1 point. He got in by 1 point. He literally got it in by 1 point. They had the same record at 6-8, and that game Monday night, I want to say that Kev had Devontae and Keith had Eagles defense. And the Eagles defense gave Keith enough points to get a 1-point victory in points 4. It's crazy. So that was your matchups for week 1 for the dynasty, for the redraft league. So for the dynasty league, like I said, I was playing sport a little bit. I got Rowdy Shank up out of here as a parting gift for the season. My 4th victory of the year, 124-109. Panda beat Nightmare by 2 points. That was a close one, 108-106. B Shank and you got him out of there, 120-103, riding into the playoffs.
Yes, sir.
Power Ranger guy and Jacob fought. Man, Jacob put up 158. That's crazy. He's been playing pretty good. He started off a little bit slow, but he's been playing pretty good the last few weeks.
For having his team name be Travis Hunter. Yeah,
I know. That's crazy. That's crazy. And the Go Farmer, 142-126 against Spice. And the battle of the top dogs, it went to S Boyles, 132-128, but it was a close one.
It was close. I think
if they match up again, it might go a different way. It depends. So, but 1 and 2 played each other to give you a playoff preview potentially. So that was a good one. So they both are matched up, and S Boys locked up the 1 seed, and S Rich got the 2 seed. So yeah, so there you have the matchups for the week. Now getting into the matchups coming into the playoffs, we'll do the standings and we'll do the matchups real quick. The standings are let me get us out of the way there. So we got RG in top spot by points, 11-3, with DZ following up with 2, 11-3. I'm 3 with 9-5. Cody is 8-6. D-Bev is 7-7. Keith is what did I say, 6-8, and he got in by, listen, 1409.48 to 1408.68. Winning with 4 points. They got him to the playoffs. That's crazy. That's crazy.
And
yeah,
he's
so,
like the vintage St. Louis Rams, winning the NFC West at 8-8.
You're right. That part. Exactly. So yeah, so Josh barely missed the playoffs along with 5. They both were 6-8, and Cool Cat was 6-8 as well. You at 10 with 5-9. Coach Mike Dell 5-9, and Kurt with 4-10. Funny, me and Kirk had the same record in different leagues. That's
Look at my points against, though, man. Just tragic.
I know.
Little poo emoji by it. Just terrible.
I know. And it's crazy because I think I'm second in points by like a couple of points. I think RG got me by 12, like 12 points in points for.
Yeah, I had the 5th most points scored in the league. Most points against. Damn, just not my year.
Yeah, I'm saying. So yeah, that was rough. Yeah, that was rough. I can't even lie about that. That was rough. But yeah, so those are the final standings for the year. And here are the matchups for week 1 of the playoffs. So we got let me see here. Let's do this way. So we got RG and DZ with buys. Cody and D-Bev match up, and myself and Keith play in round 1. The winners to play RG and DZ in round 2. So those are your matchups for playoffs for week 1 of the redraft league. And getting into the Dynasty League, like I said, this is the final standings. I talked about S Boys been at the top. So we got him at the top, S Rich at S Boys at the top with 12-2. S Rich at the second spot with 10-4. Travis with Jacob at 8-6. We got Panda with 8-6. We got you at 8-6. We got Go Farmer 7-7. Drew Dudley 8. B Shank 6-8. 5-9 with Nightmare, Roddy Shank, and B Spice and me following up the rear, pausing if needed, with 4-10. So yeah, man. It was, like I said, it just started winning too late, man. I had to finally get my team together, or injuries and all that and whatnot. Just I got a slow start. Got to start quicker. But yeah, we'll be back next year. But here's the playoff matchups for the week. So we got the S Boys and S Rich with buys. So we got Panda against Alex. Look like a projected sneaky good matchup there. And the Go Farmer and Jacob, that's a really sneaky matchup. Look at that, 143 to 142. Yeah. That's gonna be tight.
It's gonna be a spicy week 1 of the playoffs here.
That's a fact.
I really need JJ McCarthy to show up, and that's saying a lot.
That's your flex.
That's my super flex, man. So
right. You didn't spend no fab on Phillip Rivers?
Not in this league. Nope, okay. I did that in the other one.
Okay, gotcha.
Because I had Daniel Jones. So my 3 QBs in that one going into the year were Jordan Love, Daniel Jones, and Michael Penix. So
wow, you lost.
I'm hurting in that one. So I need Phillip Rivers to play.
That's crazy. So yeah, we'll wish you the best on that. So those are the dynasty matchups. So of course we'll come back next week to review with the standings and what the outcome were for week 1 of the playoffs. But good matchups, man. Good season so far, man. Shout out to everybody that's been in the league, that's been holding it down and competing all year, man. And good luck to everybody in the playoffs, unless you're playing me, and that goes for you, Keith. You're my man, but I got to take you down if
you're out there.
Yeah, right. Right. All right. So let's get into top performers of the week 14. So let's talk about who performed well and who likely got some people in the playoffs this week. So it was an interesting performance here. Some unknown names, some unsung heroes here. Of course, at the top of the list is Josh Allen. He's doing Josh Allen-like things, carrying the team on his back. I don't know how far that's going to take them. But for right now, for fantasy perspective, keep riding the horse until the horse can't run no more. 37.8. Shador Sanders coming through with 34.5 in the epic game against the Titans. Joe Burrow doing Joe Burrow-like things, 25.4. Sam Darnold finally getting back on a good list because he's been on bad lists for quite some time. 23-3. Another reason why I got started, late, and he cost me about 2 games, I want to say, with his ugly 4-pick performances. That cost me a couple of matchups. So thinking about if I had been in the 6-7 win ring, I'd have been good in the Dynasty League, but I'm not going to cry with spilled milk. So, yeah, you got that. You got Sam Darnold with 23-3. You got Matt Stafford around out of the top 5 with 23-2. Jahmyr Gibbs doing Jahmyr Gibbs things as well, 33.5. So that's not abnormal. Tony Pollard got on the list this week. This might be his first time on the list all year. Yeah, it is. 28.1. So he balled out. And Blake Corum, we used to seeing Kyron Williams on this list and not Blake Corum. So we got Blake Corum on this list this week, 25.6. Travis Etienne, 27. I hope that continues because I got him in our redraft league in the playoffs. Need that. And RJ Harvey, 19 as well from Denver. So he's balling out and looking like he's rounding out to RB1 for that team with J.K. Dobbins being out for the year. So shout out to them. So, yeah, those are your running backs and quarterbacks for the week. Alice, what is wide receivers and tight ends looking like?
Yeah, for wide receivers, we kind of had a mixed bag of some routine staples and late emergers, if you will. First and foremost, we have Puka Nacua kind of return. I mean, always getting used, pause if needed there. But always a focal point of the Rams offense, just hasn't been scoring those touchdowns lately. Balled out pretty well last week against Arizona, with 32.2. Michael Wilson in the same game on the flip side of the track. No Marvin Harrison Jr., no problem, because they've just been able to it's crazy how much production they've gotten out of Michael Wilson that they couldn't get out of Marvin Harrison Jr., all year. But it is what it is. But yeah, Michael Wilson continues the ball with MHJ out. He had 31.7. JSN had a disappointing, week 13, bounced back in a pretty big way week 14. Some of that obviously is indicative of how Darnold performs, of course, but he bounced back with 24.6. T. Higgins was kind of in that concussion limbo for a minute, cleared to play and is back in that, but he had 24.2 in that game for Cincy, and then Christian Watson, who I did put in my perfect lineup, Coach. Noted, been heating up at the right time and continuing to produce. He had 22.9 for Green Bay. For our tight ends, tight ends was definitely all over the place of like no one, who the hell is going to score? We don't know. But yeah, first and foremost, we had Harold Fannin Jr. had a pretty promising rookie year. Continued to build off that once Shador took over. I mean, Fannin's had unreal numbers since Shador's been QB, just from a target perspective and production. But he had 21.4. Mike Gesicki, Joe Burrow back in the mix. He had a pretty big game against Buffalo with 17.6. Josh Oliver, of all people. Yeah, right. Hawkinson did get a touchdown, but Oliver was the lead dog with 15.4. Right. Dawson Knox, Kincaid was back in the mix, but I think they were easing him back. Yeah. So continued to use the old dog a little bit if they needed to. With Dawson Knox, he had 14.3. And then Brock Bowers, in just what was an abysmal game for the Raiders. Brutal. Maybe somewhat abysmal proof, I guess, in terms of his team doing bad, because he still had 12.6, but he's certainly not on the unreal tear he was on last year, which is unfortunate, but he continues to ball, here and there throughout the year.
Yeah. Maybe one day we should do a what if segment on what if happens if these players were actually on good teams. Because man, we're wasting away Brock Bowers' youth here. Because being on the Raiders for 2 years it's been painful. It's been painful. And if I'm him, I'm looking at my contract like, moment this is up, I'm out of here.
Yeah, right. Like trade me.
Right. Get out of here. Imagine, he had any competent quarterback, he'd be balling for real. He'd be out of here. He'd be definitely tight end one every week. We would just be counting 2 through 5. For sure. Because he gets it done. All right, so let's forward over to the defenses and the kickers. So we got Seattle doing Seattle things. I told y'all early on in the season, if you've been watching us every week, I said Seattle's defense is probably the best fantasy football defense in the league, and they're showing it every week. 19 points, the top dog here. Minnesota Vikings with 18 coming through with that Brian Flores-led unit. Miami Dolphins, ironically enough, get 16 this week, which is interesting. And this is a laugher here. The Eagles and the Chargers both got 13 and 12 and 4 and 5, and they just had a defensive battle of picks and fumbles and you name it.
Some in the same play.
You're right, exactly. Exactly. You're right. So yeah, it was just comical, in its own right. But yeah, 13 and 12 for the Eagles and the Chargers in that slobber knocker on Monday night. So yeah, those are your top five there. Kickers, and I argue that NFC and AFC, these are the best kickers in both conferences. Brandon Aubrey and Cameron Dicker, they just get it done. You kick from anywhere, highly accurate. Just you get it past the 40 and it's money. Yeah, I definitely feel like that. And I hope I don't jinx them because I got Cameron Dicker in my redraft league. But
yeah, seriously,
right now they get it done. 23 points for Brandon Aubrey, 20 for Cameron Dicker. Jake Elliott with 17 as well in that same game as a kick fest in the Chargers Eagles game. Jake Bates was 16. He's doing pretty good as well. And Jason Myers been consistent all year as well for the Seahawks with 14. So yeah, those are your kickers and defense this week. So hopefully those guys were in your lineup and they got you a victory and got you riding high into round one of the playoffs. But some guys that did get you wins, some guys didn't. There might be some guys that just stunk it up for you, and you might be sitting on the couch wondering what happened, right? Some guys that just make you want to say,
"You're killing me, Smalls."
You're killing me, Smalls. And some people have the bags on their head because they didn't make the playoffs because these guys let them down. Screw the pooch, if you will. So who was the worst performance for week 14? Let's talk about them. So ironically enough, this list is not normally, laid with these names to start. I mean, Geno Smith, yes, and Kirk Cousins, maybe. But to have Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, and Jaden Daniel on this list is crazy.
Wild.
Especially in week 14. Normally they're riding high and flowing well, and they're doing big things at this point in time, but not this week. So Geno had 9 points, Patrick had 8.3, Kurt had 4.5, Jalen Hurts had 4.4, and Jaden Daniels had 3.7. And he came out the game towards the end because he got banged up again. So, and again, probably won't see him this week. So yeah, it's a rough week for those quarterbacks and those teams, including me, because again, Patrick let me down, and that would probably his normal performance would have got me a victory against Josh this week. So, but again, it wouldn't matter because I was locked into 3. I wasn't getting any higher than that. But yeah, I need you to step it up, Patrick, the next 3 weeks if we want to get a ring.
I need him to do that too. Not
for your own
for one fantasy, but just for my own personal sanity as well.
Amen. And now listen, outside of the Chargers game, he can go off as long as we win.
Yeah.
But, outside of that, I'm still on the Patrick Mahomes train. I need y'all to play good. So yeah,
he can go off as long as we win.
Right.
That is what his fantasy has turned fandoms into, because I do that about every game. I'm like, I need this guy to have like a few catches and maybe a touchdown, but that's it. Then they can lose.
Hey, listen, I don't give a shit from a Chargers defense perspective. I don't have the Chargers defense, so I'm good.
Right? Yeah,
he can throw 30 up on the Chargers defense as long as we win. I'm cool.
As long as we score 31, then we're good.
Exactly. He can have 4 touchdowns as long as we have 5 or a field goal. I don't know. Whatever's clever. But yes, we need Patrick to be on a good list next week. That's all we're saying. So yes, running backs, Aston Jency, bad season all around. We're going to have to talk about him at some point. He's another one that probably in a different uniform, different outfit.
100%.
Yeah, it's another one.
Bro, you put him on the Bears, he might be having the most magical rookie year of anyone. I'm just saying.
How about the Jags too?
Yeah. I mean, just some team that has a remotely competent offensive line.
Yes. Yeah.
And didn't have Chip Kelly hindering him for a little bit.
That part. Yes. Okay. Yeah, I'm with it. So him, another abysmal performance, 4.8. Brees Hall's another one, and he's gonna be a free agent next year. So I'm gonna be curious to see who gets him. 4.3. Kenneth Walker, ironically, that was Charbonnet vultured him, so he only had 3.3. Bill Krosky married 3.2, so that's another stinker for him. And Isaiah Pacheco is another one, 3 yards is one of the lead backs for DC. Yeah, I know. So who disappointed you from the wide receiver side perspective, Alex?
Yeah, man. Some familiar faces, and I mean, I think outside of maybe McConkey at the bottom, every person on here has been on this list before.
That part.
One is just very apparent of like what the hell is going on this year, but we'll get to that. But yeah, Troy Franklin was the best of the worst. he definitely had a roller coaster year. He had 2.6 last week. Emeka Big Chris Godwin back in the fold, kind of took some targets away from him. He had 2.5. We'll see how kind of things go for him rest of the season with Evans back.
That's another one. He dropped a touchdown, a wide open touchdown. That would have got me a win. But
Yep.
I'm no cry.
Yeah. No. He had 2.5. Justin Jefferson just yeah, man, just continuing on a very sorry year, for what was a solidified first round pick in fantasy drafts with 2.1. And then we had a little duo of Chargers,
yes.
Quentin Johnston, definitely roller coaster season for him. Hell of a start. Hasn't, correct me if I'm wrong. I know you watch the games more than I do, but it seems like he's tapered off pretty hard.
Oh, big time crash.
Yeah.
It's one of those Red Bull. Yeah. It's one of those Red Bull highs. You come up.
Big tree fall hard,
There you go. you get up to the real peak of your performance and you just crash out on sugar. Yeah, that's definitely what he's doing right now. Yeah. He's definitely crashing out.
Yeah, man. He had 1.8, and Lad McConkey kind of had a pretty disappointing season, too. He had 1.7.
DD. Yeah.
Just unfortunate for the wide receivers. For tight ends, I wouldn't say really anyone too surprising made the list, just with how the season's gone for a lot of these guys. But Freiermuth was the best of the worst with 1.9.
That's terrible.
Just, damn. Yeah, just it's just I don't know what's more sad, that's the best of the worst, or that there was 4 guys worse than that.
Exactly.
From a fan, I mean, hell, we're talking. I mean, most of these we get from like a half PPR scoring, right? Or so it's like, dog. I mean, hell, you catch a ball, that's half. That's like 50% of these points here.
Right. It's like you got 3 passes for no yards. It's crazy.
Wild. But so Freiermuth, man, he was best of the worst, 1.9. Evan Ingram, just disappointing year in Denver all around. He's had 1.8. Mark Ingram's disappointing year all around. He's had 1.4. Travis Kelce, disappointing.
Yeah. Mark Andrews. Yeah, you said Mark Ingram. I was like,
oh, my bad. Well, I said Evan Ingram, Mark Andrews. Boom. Either way, disappointing as hell. Travis Kelce, disappointing as hell. He had 1.3, and Aronde Gatson, who was surprising as hell at one point, and now is disappointing as hell with 1.2.
Talk about it. Preach, preacher. Yeah, unfortunately. It's, again, another crash out because he started off good. Everybody was hot on the waiver wire after him, and he was good for a few weeks, and he's crashing out as well. But I think part of that is indicative of the fact that the O-line is just abysmally bad.
Oh, yeah.
And people are figuring it out. It was like, look, they can't run the ball at a high clip, and when they can't protect them either. So it's just rough. It's a rough go. But we have to figure it out. But yeah, bad all around. Yeah. It's a lot of AFC. Actually, all of my AFC tight ends, as a matter of fact. Damn. Yeah.
About that.
Yeah. All right. So the bad or the worst of the defensive kickers this week is another, bad batch. Indianapolis Colts with 1. Crazy. See 1 on your scoreboard. It's just disheartening. Then see 0 from the Ravens and the Falcons is another problem. Then you get a -1, but from the Cowboys and the Lions game, which is crazy. And then they had been bought out last few weeks, and then -4 from the Cardinals. They just play from behind in general, so you kind of typically expect that. And I actually seen somebody pick up the Cardinals defense. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, it's not going to help you at all, sir.
Yeah, I don't know.
Whatever.
For the matchup.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
It's all about the matchup, man.
And then when they're down 40, you were wondering why.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So the kicker is Andre Smeet, whatever his name is, from Cleveland. He had 5 points. Harrison Butker with 4. I know. Evan McPherson with 4, Nick Folk with 4, and then Brandon McManus with 4. So it was a bad week for some kickers. But I think KC and Cincy were probably the in Green Bay kicker. Ironically, is the shaking my heads on this list because they typically put up points. So
and Butker missed one. So
that part too. Yeah,
he's missed 8 this year.
I don't know, man. Are we looking at a new kicker next year? I mean,
100%.
Yeah, he's been slumming
He's the
lately.
most expensive kicker in the league, and he's not the best kicker in the league. So
That can't be.
quick. That's an easy chop block decision right there,
Right,
dude.
exactly. Save that money.
You're done.
Yeah, you're right.
We got too much management. We need to fluff the top, you know?
I'm not mad. I'm not mad. So yeah, you gotta definitely figure that out. Man, get one of these soccer style kickers named Ray Fickle in college. You know, he'll do good for you. Yeah. But yeah, so those are your bad or worst of the kicking and defenses for the week. So yeah, well, hopefully you'll have this repeat performance next week in the playoffs. So we can say that. All right, so get into our rolling segment, replacements and roster moves for injury updates and roster moves. So who is on the block for injuries, and who are you going to be needing to replace them with this week in regards to the injuries and how they're going to shake out? So it's interesting here. The quarterback list got a little long on
Yeah,
I'll say. Yeah, got a little longer in the tooth this week. So Jaden Daniels, top of the list. He got re-injured his arm, and they actually said today, later in the evening, he's going to be out this week. So Mariota's going to start again. Justin Herbert had a precautionary X-ray on his left hand, non-throwing. Technically listed as questionable, but I think he's going to be all right as far as playing is concerned. Just as a quick note of that. Daniel Jones tore his Achilles. Shame in that space. I really feel bad for the guy, but he is out for the season as well. So if anybody had any Daniel Jones, to your point, Alex, any Daniel Jones owners, so be prepared to replace him. Geno Smith was questionable with a shoulder. Now he ruled him out, so he's going to be out completely. Tyrod Taylor is looking real iffy. Him and Justin Fields are looking real iffy for this week as well. So they might start their third guy, Brady Cook.
Baby.
Yeah, so
he didn't do good when he was out there. Let's put it that way. But
right, so we're it's a shame, man. Because think about if they had your boy Jordan Travis, if he hadn't retired suddenly, they would have been all right. It'd have been all right, but yeah, unfortunately, man. But yeah, so Tyrod Taylor and Justin Fields are going to be out likely this week. It's not looking good, according to what Aaron Glenn said. And then Riley Leonard, the backup to the backup, because Anthony Richards is on IR still with an orbital bone fracture. So Riley Leonard got banged up in the game. He had to come in for Daniel Jones, and he's questionable with a knee. And there is 50-50 on him. I think he did practice full today.
He did.
But he did.
He saw that 44-year-old grandpa come in, was like, ain't no way. Hell, I'm ruining my chance for this. But again, shoot my knee up, doc. It's like Varsity Blues,
Right.
You don't want it.
You don't want the needle, but what you gonna do, right? So yeah, that's problematic because again, what you're gonna do in that space, because Phillip Rivers is in the building. Said he going to practice squad yet, not on the active roster, but he did practice today. So he was out there slinging it like a 44-year-old man would.
Oh, the vintage sidearm, whatever it is. It's his.
It's his. Nobody throws the ball like Phillip Rivers. So yeah. So we got Rod Leonard on the questionable list, but we'll see how that goes. They decide whether or not Phillip or Riley will give him a better chance. But Riley is, up against it because that's what Daniel Jones did. He played on the injury and ended up hurting himself fully. So that's really a risk reward thing that you have. So do you want to risk having no quarterbacks but Phillip Rivers after this week? That's a question you got to ask yourself. But we'll see if who plays. So keep your mind and eyes peeled for who starts between Riley Leonard and Phillip Rivers.
And timeout real quick, but correct me if I'm wrong or if you know, but isn't Anthony Richardson on the IR from hurting himself during pregame with an exercise band?
Oh, let's talk about it.
Yeah, isn't that why he's on the IR?
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about that pregame in general. So he got hurt. Somebody busted him in his face, and he broke his orbital bone. And he's been on the IR since like week 6. That's one. And the same pregame, Tradarius Ward got concussion somehow. He got a concussion somehow, and he's out for 4 weeks on IR in a concussion. And then guess what? The moment he comes back, he's out again with a concussion this week. So,
oh my gosh, dude.
I think that's like his 3rd or 4th concussion this year. So he might not play again this year, just to be honest. So, and Sauce Gardner is hurt. So they just in the world of hurt, period. It's just bad over there. It's just bad. I don't know. Rest in peace, Jim Irsay, but I don't know who cast a spell on him before he died because they don't have any luck at all. It's bad. It's bad.
I saw a meme, kind of off topic, but I saw a meme today that said, Man, I can't wait to watch the scene in the in the dramatized movie where Ursay's daughter, played by Sandra Bullock, comes in the room and says, "What about Philip Rivers? Get him."
That's funny. Yeah, that's funny. But he better make it soon because Sandra's getting old.
Yeah, right.
He don't spring chicken no more, so make it quick. Yeah, but that's a good one. That's definitely a good one. And she would fit that role too. That's funny.
Yeah.
That was funny. She fits the bill. That's for sure. So yeah. So those are your injured quarterbacks for the week.
Crazy.
And running backs. This is actually not that long for a change, but it's still a thing. So we got Trey Benson, who we talked about earlier in the day about how he opened up his practice window. He had 21 days to come back. He didn't practice much, and his 21-day window ran out. It didn't activate him off IR, and he's done for the season now. So there's no return for Trey Benson in Arizona. That's crazy. That's crazy. So Alex and I both think he might have had a setback in practice because that's just a malpractice to be a professional doctor and say that you don't understand the severity of his injury and you say he's ready to be lifted off IR and he really wasn't. So I would argue that he must have had a setback. That's my take on it. But that's still crazy that he was supposed to practice for 3 weeks, didn't practice at all, and then when you come time to activate him in the last ditch effort, he can't do it. It's crazy.
Right.
It's crazy. So he's on IR. Then Alvin Kamara's still banged up with his knee. Devin Neal's been doing mop-up duty for him, so he's still questionable. Same Cardinals team, and Mari DeMarcado is questionable with an ankle. So he's 50-50 to play. The Giants come back off bye, and Tyrone Tracy was on the injury report last week and this week with a hip, so he's still questionable. Devon Achane with a rib injury. They said they held him out as precaution. He could have came back in the game, but McDaniel wanted to hold him out, and Jalen Wright was balling, so he's like, we don't need you to come back in the game, so he should be okay. And then Nick Chubb and actually Woody Marks late non-scratch for practice today. Him and Nick Chubb were on the non-practice list today, so monitor that. So I know some Woody Marks owners out there, so he's questionable. I'm gonna let you know that right now. He's definitely questionable, so keep your eye on that. He may or may not start, and he might want to hedge your bet. But they do got a good matchup this week, so we'll see how things flow with that. But yeah, I would hedge my bet with Nick Chubb or Woody Marks because they're both banged up. All right, Alex. So talk about these wide receivers, which again, we're back to CVS receipt of
right.
list.
Yeah. It goes down a little bit and goes back up.
Go back into the store next week, and guess what?
This was a stock. We'd be pretty pumped about it.
True.
But it's not.
Not.
It's a downward stock in terms of fantasy. But
True.
but yeah, we have Marvin Harrison Jr. Just a year of unluckiness, really, for him, if you will. Came back from the appendectomy, being out 2 games with that. Had this heel injury 2 weeks ago now.
Yep.
I already not practicing today, so I think I said in my Monday, video, the first couple days of practice are, the first day of practice, if he was limited, I think that would have indicated he's playing. So I'm probably totally out on any hope of Marvin Harrison Jr. playing this year, maybe even the rest of the season at this point.
Agreed.
Just with how things are going in Arizona. DK, just all over the place with his injuries too, man. Ankle, foot, other stuff, stomach bug or something that kept him overnight.
Yep.
in Baltimore. But supposedly, per Tomlin, he's moving in the right direction, and they don't see any setbacks for him to play this week. So whatever that means, I don't know. But it's kind of a lot of unknown with what he's dealing with, but it seems to be progressing in the right way. George Pickens has been a little banged up and just getting beat up by the media lately. Yeah. But from all I've seen, he's healthy and practicing, which I think, he could be in line for a big week this week, depending on how someone later in the list ends up, once we get to Sunday. But he's been healthy. Bateman also healthy, back from being banged up with the ankle injury, whatever that means in the Ravens passing offense. Drake London still not practicing. I think I said a few weeks ago, I think there is a very realistic chance that they just shut him down. They're already eliminated from the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't see
you got Kirk Cousins out there. So I think just by where we're at now, it's a pretty good sign that he's not coming back anymore, this year. T. Higgins, like I said, was concussed last week, cleared to play, and is concussed again.
Again, yeah.
Funny how that works somehow.
Yeah.
But he was doing limited work today, so we'll see if he follows a similar path like he did last week in 14. Dontavian Wicks has that ankle injury. He's been, banged up for a few weeks now. He was limited today as well. But it remains to be seen what work he can even get once he gets back with Watson back in the fold, healthy Jaden Reed, Dobbs still there. I don't know about that one. Parker Washington has that, had for pretty big two big weeks, I think, in that Jacksonville offense, then suffered this hip injury and has kind of been non-existent for a few weeks now. He was limited today in practice as well. Roma Dunze was kind of a late scratch last week with that foot. I think it's a fracture, non-displaced fracture, which
Yeah, it is. You're right.
really nothing you could do with that other than just wear a boot and suck it up and tape it, I guess. But yeah, he was a late scratch last week, limited today in practice. So we'll see, what his status will be as the week goes on. CeeDee Lamb, the big one, the big fish, the trophy fish, if you will.
Right.
So it's kind of a big deal. But yeah, he had that concussion in the Thursday night game. Was limited in practice today. So I think given the timing of when he got the concussion, they kind of have that, mini bye, if you will, from playing Thursday. I don't see any issues, at least right now, with the news we have that he's not playing this week, especially with the Cowboys in the playoff hunt and all that. I mean, and the fact that he's limited already now, looking good for him. Alec Pierce is healthy, but to what end? Because who's going to be throwing the ball? I think the Alec Pierce hype has left the station at this point.
It's definitely left the building. Yes.
Yeah, and if you're on that train, a mile down the track, the bridge is not finished. So, do with that info what you can there. But yeah, and then one late ad I did know, Coach, your boy Lad McConkey was limited today with a foot injury. So I don't know if you can shed any light. Has that kind of been a few weeks things he's been dealing with, or is that new?
I think it's just a late season. I'm just banged up, resting type of deal. Because I think they were just trying to give him some extra rest. Because Keenan Allen and a few other guys sat out practice for rest today, and
okay,
so I think it was just a rest thing. I think he'll be back at practice tomorrow because him and Quentin Johnson have been coming in and out of the injury report with just minor nicks and bruises and things of that nature, but didn't hinder him from playing at all.
Okay, fair enough.
All right, good stuff. So to round out the tight ends, not a long list, but some notable names here. So we got Zach Ertz with the Commanders, who ironically with a gruesome knee injury towards ACL, he's out for the season. Kyle Pitts, although he's on the list, he's not been doing much anyway. But he's on the list with a knee being questionable. That offense just decimated. The only person who got really left is Bijan. Cade Otton, I think he's doubtful now. I think they said he might not play at all. In the Buccaneers game. Interesting enough, they get Mike Evans back, but they lose Cade Otton. Just weird. David Njoku with a knee. I think he hurt himself after catching the touchdown in the Browns game, so he's questionable with a knee. And Michael Mayer's been on an injury report for a couple of weeks now with his knee, 2 or 3 weeks now at least. He's been questionable every week, but he's been playing. So actually, not lie, he was a late scratch last week. He was a late scratch not playing. So keep that in mind if he has a second tight end usage from him. So be on the lookout for that. But he did not play last week. But yet again, it'd be interesting too to see how that goes because I think Kenny Pickett's going to play for Geno. Yeah. So
what's he going to do?
Yeah, right.
Block.
Right. So we'll see. But
let me ask you this though, Coach. Do you think we have seen the end of Zach Ertz?
Yes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, yes.
Well, I think was this his last year, or did he announce that? He doesn't really strike me as the type of guy to announce that, But
I think he came back for the express purpose because they the Commanders were ascending and Jaden was looking like looking like he was it. So he was coming back there with a last run with Jaden, I believe.
Yeah.
And it clearly didn't go the way they thought it was going to go. So I'm not sure what his mind or thought process was because this is the last year of his deal, and he's 35. So no contract to speak of after this year, and it's going to take him a year to rehab. coming back at like 36 and a half, 37. It's not likely. I don't think. I
No.
don't think he's made his money. He got his championship. I think it's time to go just hang it up. But it sucks to have to go out that way. It really does.
Yeah. I mean, you feel bad for him in the manner he went out, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Like, I think that was kind of the end.
Yeah, I think that was right on the wall. Yeah. It might be, the higher power telling him just it's time to sit down, that kind of thing. So we'll see. But yeah, just wait. It's a horrible way to go out. Horrible way to go out. But yeah, so those are your tight ends that are banged up this week. So who are we gonna replace these guys with? Let's talk about it. There's some quarterbacks or running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends that you can grab in your fantasy leagues on the waiver wire, hopefully this week, and fill these voids. So ironically enough, to much of my chagrin, they had to put JJ McCarthy on this list because you only rostered in 27% of this roster space in fantasy football at this moment. I think did you have JJ McCarthy on one of your teams?
Yeah, in our dynasty, yeah.
Yeah,
He's my
so, yeah.
super flex, but yeah, I also put him on our sleepers because he is playing the Cowboys defense. So
Yeah, so
if there's any week to look like a remotely decent QB in the NFL, it's against the Cowboys defense.
them
So
on the Titans. Them on the Titans. Yeah, I
yeah,
agree. Yeah. Okay, so CJ Stroud's another one. He's picking up his play. He's rostering 58% of the league, so he's a grab that you can get in their matchup this week. And Shador Sanders, who's only rostered in 11% of leagues, which is crazy to say. In all honesty and respects, only rostered 11%. He's been started for a few weeks, and he's been named the starter for the entire season. So for the next 3 weeks, you can count on him playing. So that's a good quick nugget of information that might be able to be useful for you. So he's available. For running backs, Blake Corum, who's only rostered in 35% of leagues, like he's getting more and more work with that true share and combo backfield with him and Kyron Williams. So he's rostered only 35% of the league, so he's a good ad. Devin Singletary was coming off a bye. Looked like he's, with Tyrone Tracy being banged up, look like he could be the lead dog in New York. He's only rostered in 33% of leagues. And, with this rib injury with Devon Achane, Jalen Wright looks like, the guy that's going to fill a void. If Devon Achane can't give you 100%, he's only rostered in 3% of leagues. So, yeah, if he's a quick ad, especially in deeper leagues or dynasty leagues, you can add him, and he might be able to give you some work because he definitely worked out last week. That's for sure. So, yeah, pick up any of those guys from a quarterback or running back perspective, and that should get you through to next week, depending on how long your guys are injured for. But yeah, Alex, tell me about these wide receivers and tight ends, man. Who's catching your eye?
yeah, man. For wide receivers, some of these guys are guys that I also noted, on our Tuesday sleepers. But yeah, we got, first one to add would be Luther Burden in Chicago. We got Rome out. DJ
Yep.
Moore's non-existent at this point. Looking like, with Rome being limited, who knows if the status is up or not. But Luther Burden's been kind of balling out and kind of quietly becoming their biggest deep threat playmaker. As well as, he's pretty electric with the ball in his hands. They give him some generated touches, positive needed there.
Right.
So yeah, good ad with the percentage he's rostered in the offense he's in. We got Darius Slayton with the Giants. Jackson Dart getting back into the fold. Got some decent matchups coming up, and really no one else. Not a lot of proven commodities to throw to. So really, it could be anyone's game in New York.
All right.
Kayshon Boutte coming off of his bye, so probably still out there, maybe even dropped by some people that were making a playoff push. And he's building that rapport with Drake May, continuing to ball. And they got a pretty good schedule too at the end of the year as well. Couple what more I would add is Jaden Reed, if he's out there, is kind of a sneaky one because he did just come back from injury, and he's a pretty solid fantasy wide receiver once he's fully healthy and integrated in the Packers offense. Could also look at adding Jalen Coker with the Panthers, who is returned and I think noted on Tuesday, since he's returned, he's had at least 50 receiving yards. And, I think is going to quickly become the, number 2 option in that Carolina offense. So those are wide receivers. For tight ends, still got Colson Loveland still kind of hanging around below that 50% threshold, but ceding a little work to Cole Kmet. But, he has been quietly producing, caught a touchdown, I think, in 3 of the last 4 weeks. So been a pretty decent threat of the tight end spot in Chicago. Dalton Schultz, somewhat the same story. He was definitely building rapport with Davis Mills. It kind of took a little bit of a hit with Stroud coming back, but he's been pretty kind of the security blanket, if you will, in that Houston offense. The safety net, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and then Harold Fannin Jr., man, how he's still only rostered this 53% is beyond me, but I've noted him several times. Like I said, he's gotten at least 8 targets in every game since Shador has started. And, is coming off a pretty big game last week against Tennessee. And I think with Shador and the type of QB that he is, the type of thrower that he is, Fannin's in for a pretty good rest of the season, in my opinion.
I agree. I try to make a play in one of our leagues. I ain't gonna say who I try to trade with, but I was pressed. I sent several trades for that guy because I saw the writing on the wall and they wouldn't budge. So, but yeah, I definitely see it, and it's definitely panning out because Harold Fannin definitely out here balling. That's for sure. All right, so there was your replacements for the week. So hopefully those guys can fill a void for you and get you some points in that fantasy playoff matchup for round 1.
Yeah,
so we'll see how things flow down the road. But speaking of the playoffs, let's talk about it in its entirety. So on the screen here is a list of every playoff matchup in its entirety. How week 15 through 17 is going to shake out. This is the AFC side. This is a quick overview of who they're going to face from week 15, 16, and 17, round 1, 2, and 3 of the playoffs. So if you need to pause this, instead of time to replay and take a screenshot so you have it for reference, please do so. That is the AFC side. And this is the NFC side. Who's going to face who in the next 3 weeks. So take note of that. So you can know who you guys facing and who your match is going to look like. But as a quick rehash from a couple of weeks ago in our segment, here's our best and brightest. We think we have the best fantasy matchups throughout the playoffs. We think that Houston's got cake matchups. We got Tampa Bay having good matchups. The Eagles, the Cardinals, the Giants, and the 49ers. So if you have any players on any of those teams or their defenses, I think they're going to have some good matchups for you coming through the next 3 weeks. So, pick up players or add players or put players in your roster that are on these teams. And I think you have some good success. So look out for that. So we just want to rehash that real quick before we move on to the next topic. But we feel good about these 6 teams. So if you have players on these teams or waiver wire ads that can get you some of these guys on these teams, I think you'll be in good shape. That's for sure. I mean, outside of, Woody Moss being a little bit banged up, he's a good one. Jaden Higgins, of course, Nico Collins, obviously. Mike Evans coming back. I saw in one of my leagues, I'm gonna say which one because I don't want to be a snitch too bad, but Mike Evans was actually somebody dropped him. So
he was on the waiver at a couple of mine, man. I was like, what?
Right. So yeah, he's coming back this week.
What?
For sure. So just a quick note for those listening. So yeah. So that's a good ad. Saquon Barkley, that probably only safe bet. Him, AJ Brown, only safe bet for the Eagles with that offense. But the defense is balling. Cardinals, Michael Wilson, of all people, might be a good ad in that space. And Jacoby Brissett, a lot of garbage time. Super flex, Bam Knight, yeah. The Giants, Wan'Dale Robinson, Darius Slayton, Theo Johnson, Jackson Dart. We talked about the running back, Devin Singletary. So yeah, him. 49ers, of course, CMC, Brock Purdy, Kittle for sure. Juwan Jennings. Yeah, those are all good ads. So yeah, and their defense. So if you have any of those guys, I think you have a pretty good run at these playoffs. But getting into the playoffs and the title, getting into the meat and potatoes of it, we're going to talk about what we love and we hate for fantasy football matchups this week. Who's on our love it list and who's on our hate it list? Who guys that we feel like they're going to ball out this week for round 1 and who we think you should stay away from. So we got a list here from a love it and a hate it perspective. We're going to break down real quick. So who we love this week is an interesting set of guys here. From my perspective, I think Matt Stafford carves up that decimated secondary for the Lions. I really think that's it. I think he's going to ball out for sure. Although they have a really good personnel grouping, the Jets haven't been getting up a lot of yards on the ground. So I think Travis Etienne has another good week against the Jets. So that should be a good one for him. AJ Brown is going to carve up the Raiders because he's just getting targeted out the wazoo, and the Raiders can't stop anybody, of noteworthiness. I think he's going to be in line for a good game. And George Kittle gets that Titans defense. I think he's going to eat well from Brock Purdy. So I like all of those matchups in that space. So yeah, if you got any of those guys in this week, start them and live well because I think you're going to be good. Be good.
Plug and close your eyes.
Yes, and sleep well. Sleep well.
Sleep good.
Yeah. So Alex, tell us about your side. How you feel about these guys?
Yeah, man. So I went for some deep cut,
You did.
spicy
You did.
matchups that I can back up with evidence that I
Okay.
love for the initial playoff round here. First and foremost, we got Lamar Jackson against Cincinnati, and I get it because he's had some pretty bad games here recently, but I think we can all agree that he's not fully healthy. We haven't seen that
Explosion.
height of his powers, Lamar Jackson, if you
Yes.
will, since
Yes.
he came back. But he is coming off a pretty solid game last week. Scored 21 fantasy points, ran for almost 50 yards, and scored a rushing touchdown, which was his first rushing touchdown since week 1.
Yeah.
And he's got this rematch against the Bengals, who allow the third most fantasy points to QBs, the second most passing yards and most passing touchdowns, on top of they're pretty bad against rushing QBs this year. I feel pretty good about Lamar to bounce back. I have maybe some of the similar faith I have in my own team in the Chiefs. A player like Lamar, I don't think can, be bad for that
That's
many weeks in
all.
a row,
Yeah.
without it being some kind of health issue. So I like to think the fact, and he was just, I think, designated back to questionable today. But that's kind of been the story with him for a few weeks. But yeah, I feel good about him. I got Kinshawn Judkins going against the Bears defense. He definitely had a better matchup last week. But is starting to see some targets in the passing game. Had actually, I think, an almost 60-yard pass catch against Tennessee. So it's good to see him give some usage there. And you look against the Bears that are giving up almost 5 yards per carry to running backs, and allow explosive runs at a pretty high rate. So I think just between the volume, the matchup, and the usage that he gets in the red zone, it's a primo start for Judkins, and to feel good about that one. I got Scary T here, man, against the Giants. And this is more from the aspect of Scary T murdering the Giants is a thing that he does in his career. He averages almost 16 fantasy points per game when he plays the Giants in the 12 career games that he's had. I think has quite quickly became their number one option again. He's almost has a 30% share of the first read on targets, and he had 14 targets and was wide receiver 6 just 2 weeks ago with Marcus Mariota at QB. So feel good about Scary T against the Giants. And then this one, man, I like the Kittle one too. I can't lie. That was my initial thought. And
Mhm.
I know we discussed in pre-production the pivoting. So we
Right.
pivoted to Dalton Kincaid in a pivotal AFC East matchup. Like I said earlier, I think they kind of kept him on a pitch count last week because it was his first week back from that hamstring. But he still had 14 points and was tied in 8. And the Pats are top 10 on allowing points to tight ends. And so I just think with this hard fought AFC East matchup and Kincaid, when healthy, has been Josh Allen's most trusted target. He's in for a big week in 15.
I like it. I like it. All right. So those are guys that we love in this fantasy matchup, round 1 matchup. But who are we staying away from?
Yeah.
So who's on the hate train? Who's on the hate list? For me, I think Caleb Williams in that Browns defense and Myles Garrett, man. I'm scared for Caleb Williams this week. I'm not gonna lie. I think he's gonna he might break the sack record this week. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm worried for Caleb Williams in that Browns pass rush. I really am. So I'm concerned about him, and I think that if we all can agree that when he's rattled and he's pressured a lot, his efficiency
Not
goes
good.
down. Yeah, his efficiency goes down. So I'm staying away from Caleb if I have better options this week against the Browns. And that secondary 1, pass rush 2, it's an issue. It's an issue. The Jonathan Taylor going against the Seahawks defense, I got an issue with that because I think they're all just going to load up to try to stop him like they've been doing for the last several weeks because they just don't trust their quarterback situation. It'll either be Riley Leonard or off the couch Phillip Rivers. So, yeah, I would say that Jonathan Taylor's going to have a rough sledding against that Seahawks defense starters. I mean, I think we're going to have a rough one anyway because they just have a good defense, but it's going to be even more so now because they just know that we got to stop him, and that's our focal point. We're going to, use all our resources to stop him and make them beat us from a quarterback perspective, and I'm not sure they can do it. And then another one, Lad McConkey, again, going against the Chiefs. I'm not sure about that one either. He's just been not only the fact that the Chiefs just play us tough from a secondary perspective, but I think that him and Justin are just off right now. Like their timing and their rhythm and their communication has been off. So if I'm looking to maybe not flex Lamb this week, I wouldn't. Because I think he might have a rough week because he had a rough several weeks, to be honest. If you have been playing here lately, he's been letting you down. Much to my chagrin and any Chargers fan alike. But I would stay away from that if I can. And Trey McBride against the Texans don't give up any yards to tight ends, like none. Like it's crazy to see how many yards they do not give up for tight ends. So and I think that they're going to really, be at the premium of pressuring Jacoby Brissett, who is a pocket passer. He's not running a lot. He's going to be a quote unquote statue to Dale Hunter and Will Anderson, and the secondary just covers well. Jalen Petrie, and Al Shire and all those guys just cover tight ends well. So I'm not sure Trey McBride, is going to be getting a lot of love this week. So I would stay away from that if I can. In my personal opinion. But yeah, Alex, I like some of your picks here then because I definitely agree with a few. And I'll tell you in a minute, but I'm gonna let you intro it, of course, and I'll tell you what I think about a couple of these guys.
Yeah, man. First and foremost, I got Jordan Love going against the Denver Broncos. I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to see why I hate that matchup.
Yeah.
I'll get it. Jordan Love's been on a pretty good tear. He has had 7 touchdowns across the last 2 weeks, but he still is throwing for pretty low yardage. So, if this even is a term for quarterbacks, he's a very touchdown dependent fantasy quarterback. He's not going to go out there and get throw 300 plus yards every game. He just hasn't done that. Then you couple that with the fact that he's facing an elite pass rushing unit, a Broncos defense that gives the 3rd fewest passing touchdowns up this year and the 6th fewest points to QBs. Like, staying away from that one. Like,
I hear you.
No more with that. Yeah. Then for running back, I got Kenneth Walker the third going against the Colts. I guess the flip side of yours without even realizing it. But it's kind of a twofold thing with me with Walker. He's had some decent weeks and has been seemingly playing the lead role over these last couple weeks, but he's still sharing a pretty good amount of the workload with Charbonnet. He's been held to single-digit fantasy points in 6 of the last 9 games, and the Colts have been pretty tough against the run, for what they have defensively. So I'm staying away from Kenneth Walker. This one might be the low-hanging fruit a little bit, but Michael Pittman with the Colts going against Seattle, with that QB situation. It's already tough sledding enough with who they're playing in the Seattle Seahawks defense. They've allowed the 4th fewest yards to wide receivers and are giving up a less than 50% or 50 passer rating to opposing QBs. So if it's Riley Leonard or Phillip Rivers, it don't matter. They're going to be seeing ghosts. They're going to be getting drilled. And I don't feel good about trusting Pittman in that matchup with just who is going to be throwing the ball. And then the last one, man, kind of like you were talking about with McConkey, I'm going with Aronde Gatson in case people are still holding on to some hope and looking at other tight end options and just aren't sure. Let me help you out because Gadsden, he's failed. Like I said, he had a hot start, failed to score double-digit points in 4 straight games. Kansas City, for what they have been this year, but they, outside of offensively, they've been pretty solid defensively, especially against tight ends. Only 2 tight ends all year have scored more than 10 points on them, and they've played people like Ty Warren, Jake Ferguson, some of those bigger name tight ends. So I don't think Gatskin's turning things around in this matchup.
Yeah, I like it. And that Jordan Love thing gave me pause because the secondary's healthy. And I had to choose between him and Mahomes. Again, like I said at the top of the show, I'll just be comfortable with Mahomes going off on the Chargers defense, and we still win the game. I'm okay with it. Right. I'm okay with it. But yeah, I couldn't in good conscience start Jordan Love against the Broncos versus Patrick Mahomes against the Chargers. Couldn't do it. So yeah, I definitely agree with that the Jordan Love take because Patrick Surtain and Riley Moss and Jedi Barron, all the guys are healthy. I hope Funk is healthy. They're all healthy on their defensive side. Benito. So it's gonna be a rough go for Jordan Love this week. That's for sure. That's for sure. Should be a good game, in my opinion. That might be.
I think it will be because I'm interested to see on the flip side of that what Micah and that defense does to Bo Nix too.
Yes,
So
I agree. I agree. So I think it's gonna be a defensive battle for sure, but not a lot of points.
no.
Points are gonna be at a premium for sure. For sure. Okay. All right. So that's our love and hated list. So let us know how you feel about this and let us know in the comments. But if you got these guys in your lineup, love them or hate them, err on the side of caution if we're on this bad list. That's for
Yeah.
sure. That's for sure. All right. So let's get into our perfect lineup as we wrap the show up here. We like to do this each and every week, kind of give a best ball feel, give us our who we feel like has got good matchups in totality. So if you got these guys in your lineup, you should have a good week. All right, so week 15 for me, I'm going with Brock Purdy against the Titans. I mean, that's not hard to tell. They give up a lot of points to everybody. It pretty much is a fantasy football fest against the Titans. I think Brock Purdy has a great game. Saquon Barkley against that Raiders defense. I think that he has a bounce back game. Well, not necessarily bounce back because he had a good game against the Chargers, although he scored a touchdown. But I think that he carves them up. They get back to running the ball a little bit, try to get him going. I like that matchup. I like Bucky Irvin against the Falcons. I think they give up a lot of yards, period, to every running back. So I think Bucky Irvin should have a good week. He's starting to come back into form. I love JSN against the Colts. No Sauce, no Tre'Davious Ward. I think that's a slam dunk for him to have a field day against that secondary for the Colts. So I like that matchup. I love Devontae Adams against the Lions. I think that they're banged up in the secondary, and if they roll coverage to Puka, Devontae Adams is going to be open all day, every day. I love that matchup. So I think Devontae Adams has that matchup, and he should eat in the feast against Matt Stafford's MVP like tear. So I'm not mad at that going off about 15, 20 points this week. Could be. Harold Fanning, I talked about him earlier in the show. Going against the Bears, I think he's gonna have a good week. He's been Shador's safety net, and he's a special athlete on top of that. So I think he's gonna have a good week against the Bears. I like Nico Collins against the Cardinals. Their secondary is banged up and they haven't been really good on defense in its entirety, in any stretch. So I think Nico Collins should have a good game against the Cardinals defense. Eddie Pinheiro is my kicker going against the Titans. Should he have a good week? He's questionable with tag, I noticed today, but I think he'll play. So long as he plays, he should have a good week kicking.
Yeah, they haven't signed another kicker yet.
Right. So that tells me right, exactly. The questionable tag kind of gave me a little bit of pause, but I was like, yeah, they ain't making any moves, so he's definitely playing for my money. And the Jaguars defense, which is surprisingly good, in its entirety, going against the Jets with their third string quarterback Brady Cook. I like that matchup a lot. So I think the Jags defense balls out this week and gets you a lot of fantasy points. So if you got a Jags defense you can pick up on waiver wires, go for it, because I think you'll be good to go. You'll be good to go. So that's my week 15.
Love those picks.
Yeah.
As you tell, I was vibing with some of them on mine, as you could probably put together there. But
right.
But yeah, man, my perfect lineup for week 15, as you kind of were getting at in your playoff matchups you love. I feel the same sentiments with Matt Stafford going against his old squad, banged up Detroit secondary. They are stout against the run, but Stafford is averaging 3 touchdown passes per game over the last 7 games. So feel pretty good about that that matchup. I got Christian McCaffrey going against the Titans. If Brock Purdy's feasting, McCaffrey is definitely going to be involved in that. So, like I said, I feel the same sentiments. But, but for the crazy start that Jonathan Taylor had to his year, people might be saying this year, damn, is Christian McCaffrey back? Because he has been quiet staple, quietly balling every week. I mean, he's only had 2 weeks where he's finished outside the top 12 in scoring. And you're going against the Titans defense that gives up the 7th most points to running backs. Like, yeah, he's going to be a pretty good matchup there. Yep. RB2, love our man Trevion, dude, against Trevion Henderson against the Bills. He is on a 4-game streak of at least 60 rush yards. Also has 5 touchdowns across those 4 games. Still very much involved, even with Stevenson back. I think they finally realized what they had, and facing a pretty bad Bills defense against the run in a big AFC East matchup. Feel great about him. You love Devontae. I'm riding with that Nakua bomb this week.
I think both of them go off.
Yeah, I mean, that very realistically could, because they have in years or weeks past. But Puka was going on kind of a 4-week bender of playing second fiddle to Tay, and then went off last week for almost 170 yards and 2 touchdowns. I feel good that they're both going to eat pretty well against Detroit. RB or wide receiver too. Excuse me. I got our man Wandale Robinson going against the Commanders. Heavily involved in that offense.
Yeah.
Commanders defense, who made J.J. McCarthy look pretty damn good. Wandel's had at least 8 targets in every game, and the Commanders give up the second most yards to slot receivers. So he's going to have a good day, in my opinion. The tight end one, I can't even lie to you guys, a little bit of a homer pick, a little bit of a just feeling the vibes of my team. But I put Travis Kelce against the Chargers. One, because it is a must-win game for the Kansas City Chiefs. So I think that they do pull out all the stops because, quite frankly, they have to if they want to stay relevant this year. Kelce, I think, is just from kind of my own personal feel and listening to like his podcast and talking about that loss to Houston. I mean, I think he's wearing that drop he had at the end a lot, and I think he bounces back or tries to bounce back in a big way against the Chargers. And historically, he's played pretty well against the Chargers. Even did pretty solid in week 1, which I know is the start of the year. But, I'm feeling the vibes that Kelce's going to have a great week this week against the Chargers. My flex play, I'm going with Brian Thomas Jr., man, against the Jets. He finally returned, 2 weeks ago, but really returned this last week. We got to see some of those old school, vintage, big yardage plays out of BTJ. He had almost 90 receiving yards.
Go ahead, though.
I know. Yeah. But, I mean, from a guy that was a Pro Bowler last year to the season that we have now, I think that was a spark, and I'm calling it to be the start of a strong finish for what's been a rather disappointing year for him. So feel good about his matchup against the Jets. Defensively, I'm doubling down on my pick from last week. I'm going with the Eagles against the Raiders. I mean, the Eagles had 7 sacks, a pick, and a fumble against the Chargers. Just imagine what they're going to do to two glove Kenny and Kenny 2 gloves and that Raiders offense. And then my perfect kicker, I'm going with Evan McPherson. That rematch game against Baltimore. You looked at the last time he played Baltimore, he had 24 fantasy points. I think this last week was a little skewed because it was a snowy game in Buffalo. But I think the Bengals offense gives him plenty of scoring opportunities against the Ravens.
I like it. Going back to Christian McCaffrey real quick, he has a really good chance to go 1,000 yards in receiving and rushing this year. He is at 800 plus on both sides. And he has 85 receptions as a running back. That's crazy. He's literally has 849 yards rushing, 237 carries. He's had 85 receptions on 107 targets and 806 yards receiving. 5 receiving touchdowns, and he has 8 rushing touchdowns. Crazy.
4 games left?
4 games left. Yep.
He quite literally could go 1,000 and 1,000, dude.
And 100 receptions.
That's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous.
And nobody's talking about that.
I'm saying.
That's an unreal pace.
It is. It really is. Yeah, he's definitely
holy
fantasy gold this year. He might be an MVP.
And they got Titans, Colts, Bears, Seahawks. So really, I mean, he could do it.
He could do it. He could do it. He can fall out of bed and do it to get the yards for sure.
So crazy. It just might
20 yards. Exactly. You need 200 yards on each side in 4 games. You can fall out of bed and get that. Yeah. So it's an interesting stat.
And he was going in like the second round.
I know,
because people were just so out on him.
The injury, man. They're scared of injury. Well, hopefully he does not get injured. Knock on wood in that, because I want to see him get that those stats. But that's crazy pace. Crazy pace he's on. They're definitely milking the cow. Definitely milking the cow.
He's 17th in the NFL in receiving yards
as a running back.
He's got more than Emeka Ibigbu.
Yeah, I'm saying.
And Cortland Sutton.
I mean, who's
and Devontae Adams?
Who's leading the league in receptions, though? I'm curious about that because he got 85.
McBride, 93. And Puka, 93.
And he's not that far off.
He's 5th.
And he was on bye week last week, right? So he didn't even play that.
He's behind JSN, Jamar, Puka, and McBride in receptions. So
that's running back.
He quite literally has been the entire San Francisco's offense.
Exactly.
Dude. Oh my God.
Crazy.
On 237 carries, too. That's
Yep.
damn.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, it is crazy. But look out for Chris McCaffrey this week because he's going to get the Titans, so he should have a monster game. Monster game for sure. All right, so we're reached into the show, man. We got a question and answer period here. So if you have any questions, watch this live, drop it in the chat, and we'll get those questions answered for you, and we'll get you back to your normal regular lives, and hopefully everybody has a good fantasy football week and get that victory in round 1 of the playoffs so we can get to that gold lightning fast. But yeah, it's going to be interesting, man. So hopefully everybody who made the playoffs is going to be rocking and rolling. If you don't, please start to, get your mind right for the rookie draft if you're in Dynasty and what's going to look like in April. So who's going to be the next Emeka Big Boo, or who's going to be the next Quishon Judkins, Travion Henderson, who's going to be those next guys in fantasy, man, because we got to get ready and get started early. The earlier you start, the more likely you will win in December. So if there are no questions in the chat, man, we're going to get up out of here, man. But if you're looking for us anytime after the show is over, you can find us on all social media platforms that are popular. TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And we even have a Gmail address if you need to email us. And always hit the subscribe on the YouTube channel, Lightning Fast FF on all platforms. It is all the same on every platform, Lightning Fast FF. Hit the subscribe button on the YouTube channel. Let the YouTube algorithm know we're doing big things out here. We appreciate that. It is free. It don't cost you a thing. So we appreciate the support as always, man. And we'll be back next week to break down round 1 and getting to round 2. So who's going to get that much closer to that fantasy football dreams. So, man, we're going to get up out of here. But, AJ, you got any parting words before we get up out of here? And, of course, we got content each and every day we drop. So check out the space each and every week for our shorts. So each and every day on Monday through Friday. So don't forget that. But, yeah, we go live each and every week on Wednesday at 9 o'clock right here on this channel. So, so, man, any parting words for the fans out there before we get up out of here?
I mean, not much, man. Just hope everyone, if you're in the playoffs, have a good week 1, or if you're in a bye, kick back and relax. Unless I'm playing you, Other than that, I hope you all have a good week.
And there it is. All right, man. That's going to do it for us. So in the meantime, between time, I'm Coach Defense. That is the real AG Alex Givens. Until next week, we'll see you when we see you. Step up and lock it down.